Phil Spencer, Phil Spencer. This man has been everywhere, guys. He's been doing these interviews in every outlet you can think of. What is interesting is he's not doing a whole lot of outlets in like the gaming media. You don't really see him talking to IGN, GameStop, GameSpot, Game Informer, like the bigger media outlets. He's going to, more of these bigger ones. He's going to like Rolling Stone, which we're about to talk to today. Look, at the end of the day, it is what it is. We did talk about on this channel that Microsoft and Xbox particularly are going to start, backing away from like gaming centric news. I think there is a lot of reasoning for that. Maybe not necessarily the best media in the gaming industry. There's a lot of, stuff that's going on in the gaming industry, and it's not all the media's fault. It's not all the people that cover in the media's fault. Sometimes it's just how some of the business is done, and things are never self-corrected. But I'm curious what you guys have to feel about that, dude. What do you think is the reasoning behind they're not really doing these type of interviews on IGN and stuff? They did Rolling Stones, Bloomberg. Like, they're kind of staying away from the gaming media. I'm kind of curious to your guys' opinion in the comment section below. But anyway, let's get to the point of the video. You guys know that I have always been a whole ass advocate when it comes to the hardware of Xbox. Like this sucker right here. Everything I do and all the choices I make is fear that this thing will be less valued and Microsoft would eventually let it go. Is that going to happen? I don't know. But I have a lot invested into that ecosystem. And it always makes me nervous when we talk about, making this hardware less and less appealing to the average consumer, because in my mind, if they're not making enough money in the long term, they're just going to shut this suck off. Now, obviously, they have let go stuff like Mixer. They have let go stuff like the Windows Phone, that Zune thing. There's a lot of things that they have, stopped working on or stopped investing into. But I will say that in terms of Xbox, that's more of a long-term thing, and it wouldn't be as easy for them to get rid of. Do I think they would? Absolutely. If there was a point in time where they're not making any more money and they're putting way more money than they're bringing in with the platform, I do think they would get rid of it. But according to Phil Spencer over here, they are continuing with the hardware. So let's jump over here to this interview by Rolling Stone. This interview is with Phil Spencer. He talks a lot about, some things that's going on here. One thing I want to go over here is this individual is talking in regards to the emphasis behind cloud streaming and anywhere devices. That means that they'll cease developing new consoles. Spencer had a definite answer. We'll definitely do more consoles in the future and other devices. These other devices are likely to include a mobile version of Xbox hardware to compete with the booming handheld PC trend that's taking off over the last few years with the systems like the Rogue Ally, which Spencer plays on himself, and the Steam Deck. These handheld versions of PC are often Windows-based, meaning that they're still running on the Windows ecosystem and allow players to play Xbox games on the go with seamless transition between their home screens, their home consoles, and the PC cloud storage for their saved games. I will say that in terms of what he's saying there, I completely agree. You want to take it from a multiple aspect ratio. That's how I would want it. And as long as, Phil Spencer, goes through with this, and, even if maybe the hardware side isn't making the most money, they still support it because they want to make sure that they have a box in the living room. And if that is the true case for going forward, because keep in mind, like right now, this is Phil Spencer and Satya's like plan. But I don't know what would happen if both of these individuals retired, if they left and went somewhere else. Like, just because these individuals believe in this doesn't mean someone that comes in on the back end that says, yo, why are we keeping this console around when it's not really making a whole lot of money, if not any? Now, obviously, that's not guaranteed. I do think Call of Duty is going to drastically pick up the sales for Xbox, because it's not a coincidence that everything linked to Call of Duty sells well. Call of Duty is one of the most iconic franchises in the gaming world. And the fact that you can, promote it with that Xbox logo is huge, huge. Game Pass, one of the best deals, if not the best deal in gaming. You could go on there, you could pay that $20 a month, and every month Xbox has done a fantastic job on giving you something to play, even if it's not an exclusive. But it doesn't matter if it's not an exclusive most of the time, because it's a really good indie, really popular indie, or it's a really good AA title. Sometimes they'll get some AAA stuff like MLB The Show. When you're constantly being able to just go on a thing and then just playing a game, you'd be surprised real quick how good you can jump into something and how much you're not really complaining a whole lot because you have access to these games all the time. So I think, right there, we need to put some consideration on that as well. During the conversation with Spencer alludes multiple times to waiting to create a handheld, a detail he later confirmed with Bloomberg. Asked about whether that would be a mid-generation hardware Sony has recently released with the PlayStation 5 Pro. He doesn't give a clear answer, but implies that it is necessary given the diminishing returns developers are seeing with the increased horsepower. I don't believe that the PlayStation 5 Pro or anything for that matter is necessary. In my personal opinion, even with the Xbox One and the PlayStation 4 Pro, I didn't feel like the Xbox One X, it did a lot of games better. And if you were primarily playing and you cared about that performance stuff, that console existed for you. PlayStation 4 Pro as well. There were some games that ran better, but was it worth the reinvestment into the ecosystem? And that's just on who? That's on the individual person that's investing that money. Like, for instance, me, I got straight from an Xbox One S straight to an Xbox Series X. I had a couple bad experiences on the Xbox One S that you wouldn't have had if you was on the Xbox One X. And you shouldn't really have to deal with that if they're offering both of these SKUs with the same experience. So to me, I do think Microsoft made the better deal and, the better choice. I'm going through here. Look, next couple years is going to be rough when it comes to Xbox in terms of a lot of games are going to run better on the PlayStation 5 Pro. There's no way around that. I'm sure since there's no mid-gen refresh for Microsoft, Sony is going to push developers above and beyond to make sure as many games, especially big games, wouldn't be surprised if there's a performance patch for the PlayStation 5 Pro. I don't know if it'll run 60 frames. Maybe they'll try to do a medium ground and do 40, but I wouldn't be surprised if they try to utilize that. That would not surprise me one bit. And it is going to be maybe a rough year and a half to two. But to me, is that year and a half to two worth? Because keep in mind, when you put these mid-gen refreshes out, you kind of extend the life cycle of your generation. Xbox could arguably just cut the cord next year if they wanted to. They probably won't. They'll probably wait to 2026. But the PlayStation 5 Pro came out in 2024. And that puts Sony and PlayStation in a unique situation where they have to look at the landscape of the industry and decide whether or not they want to cut the cord on the PlayStation 5 Pro early and get out there with PlayStation and probably upset a lot of the hardcore fans, or go ahead and just do another year, another 2 years, and let Microsoft be out in the market alone with their next gen, because Microsoft didn't invest into that next gen refresh. So they have a little bit more openness to doing what they want to do. And, it is what it is when it comes to stuff like that. Pretty much what he said on here, we'll go ahead and keep reading. He said, we think that about hardware that can create a unique value for our players or creators or on our platform. He said, we don't need to measure hardware for our own belief. Does the device really give you a unique experience on the screen in some way? It's less like the old days, going from the original 360. That was a standard definition to high definition. Now it's harder to show the benefits. And I think that's where you're coming across on mid-gen refreshes. And, you can share... You could sell a box that has more resolution more pixels on the screen. It's easier because that's visually there. It's harder to show it from like a performance aspect. For Spencer, the legacy of Xbox top mind and how the brand continues to evolve the future. Xbox Cloud Gaming is at the heart of the mission. The DNA of Xbox need to remain more than just streaming service and libraries. We are trying to expand what does an Xbox mean. I want Xbox to be something for 20 years now. He thinks in order for Xbox to be vibrant, it's successful, it needs to be on multiple pieces of hardware. And I think that's pretty much what he's saying is like the core aspects of it. It's like I said, Phil Spencer said that they're going to make hardware, and as long as they keep on that, I'm cool with it. I'm cool with the direction. I still think you need an identity on your hardware. I still think, Halo, Gears, and Forza, stuff like that probably shouldn't go over to the platform. I know that Phil said there's no red line in the sand, but I think there should be, or be more, transparent, have better messaging around what's going on with that particular thing. If, you're going to be exclusive on some things, that's fine. If you're going to be more multi-plat on everything, that's fine. Or if you're going to be like, okay, we're going to do a lot more timed exclusives, these games will come to PlayStation, but there will be first on Xbox, that's fine. To me, at this point, I just want them to be transparent and tell us exactly what the thought process on their end is. I don't know if they even know, and that's fine. But like I said, I need to see more stuff like this. I will officially shut up because, like I said earlier in this video, they can do whatever they want and still do what they want. This is the same company that, wordsmith us to death while saying Indiana Jones wasn't the first 4. There is ways that they could easily word stuff around to not entertain all of this. When you get that first official announcement, I will be 100%. I'm backing off and be like, okay, you guys are investing still into the hardware. That's all I care about. Maybe they will look at something like, we're gaining all this money from these other aspects. Let's not abandon the hardware. Even if the hardware makes little to no money, it is okay because we're making so much money everywhere else that we can afford this part of the business not to be profitable. Part of the skeptical part of me is you see these companies, not just Microsoft, you see all these companies willing to cut gigantic branches, gigantic sections of their company off to make quarterly expectations, and I don't see that any different. But they are showing me a little bit of some light at the end of the tunnel. Do I think this is 100% away from my fear? No, I still think that I need to see an official announcement just to okay, we do have a next gen. Do I think we're going to have a next gen? I would say yeah. Now, it does look like they're too far into development. I'm a little skeptical. Sarah Bond said at the beginning of the year that we were going to see something on next gen, because she said, we understand a lot of you don't think we're committed into hardware. We're going to be a little bit more clear with that later on this year. It's November. About to be December. We're midway through November. We still haven't heard nothing. But, that's pretty much all I got for this video. Look, I get it. Some of you think I'm doom and gloom. And to a point, I will agree with you. Ever since they announced the change in direction, I'm just worried about the hardware that I have a lot of invested onto. So I can understand where people come into thinking I'm doom and gloom. I just report what's on the news and I give my input on it. It's nothing more, nothing less. For the most part, I give this energy to everyone. It's just I might give it a little bit more to Xbox because I actually care if the console's around or not. But anyway, put in the comment section below what you guys feel. I'm very curious your guys' opinion on that. Definitely hit that like button if you guys enjoyed the video. It's always appreciated. You can always sub to the channel for weekly content. Definitely follow me on Twitter, Lord Addict ILP, or X, whatever you want to call it. And you can also follow my streaming channel, Addict Arena, in the description below. Appreciate everyone coming through. And until next time, this is Gaming Addict. I'm out of here. Peace. I'm glad they just come out straight openly and said, yes, next gen's happening. That's nice.